Okay, hey everybody. All right, this is for lesson 13. So we're going to turn a corner here, and we're still using multiplication, but we're changing our objective slightly to talk about conversions. So we're going to use whole number multiplication. Hooray, it's whole numbers, easy, to express, fancy word for show, equivalent, which means it's equal to measurements. We're going to show equivalent measurements to each other. So, for example, and it's too bad we're not in class because I have a lot of little strings and supplies that we can use and pass around, but now that you're at home, you're just going to have to do some sample problems from the book and maybe measure a few things at home. So, for example, if I made this little line here, you could make a line too, measured it out, it was 164 millimeters exactly, because I was very precise. And then we converted that to 16 4/10 centimeters. And so we talked about how 16 4/10 centimeters can be shown as a different amount if you want to be very specific. Okay, so if you don't want to have a fractional unit, you can just use a whole number and be very specific with a smaller unit. And so how you change from one to the other, from a larger unit to a smaller unit, is by multiplying by a power of 10 if you are using the metric system. It's nice and easy with the metric system. So, but also today you're going to have other examples of things that are not the metric system. So if you're looking at like 1 foot is how many inches? Well, when you figure out the single unit, that's going to be your conversion factor. So that's going to be a very, very important number to find out, is what is equal to 1. Once you find out what's equal to 1, you can plug in any number. So then if 1 foot is 12 inches, then 2 feet would be 2 times 12, and 3 feet would be 3 times 12. And so then I said, well, what about 36 feet? Because you won't be able to just count on sometimes when you get to higher math. So then you just have to know it's taking this conversion factor, multiplying it by what you want to change it to, or what you're going from, and then you have your 12 times 36, and then you can get 432 inches that way by solving with multiplication. So that was our kind of introduction. Then this wonderful chart here that I probably haven't shown it yet, although we do have a King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk lesson as the first one, so you could go back to that one. But I don't think I had gotten this out. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing I got off the internet, and it's from this lovely website right here, and you could pause your video and go to this website. They are wonderful people. They know an awful lot about math, and that's where I got this super fun page. So we're going to be working with mostly the unit place value column, which we call the ones place. Okay. Now the weird thing about what we're doing in this lesson is that you're pretty much going to skip over this position, but you can't skip it because this is the 10 times smaller, or 1/10 of the units. So this has to be here. This lives here. This is the 10th place. This is the 100th place. This is the 1000th place. So it has to be like this, and you cannot just skip this position. But I'll show you how we do that with the chart and what you can do and think about. And then over here, the kilo, which is really all we use in 5th grade, is 1,000 times greater than the unit. And we don't really use deca or hecto at all in 5th grade, although they are there, and you can't forget about them, because it's like if this is the ones, this is the tens, this is the hundreds, and this is the thousands place. So these have to be here in order for us to get out to the thousands place. So again, a very, very helpful tool, this chart, and it is so worth printing if you can do that. Then I have this worksheet. As you can see, it's from 2018. And I'm so happy that I saved these notebooks. Who's laughing now? I have all my stuff in storage here in my file drawers. Anyway, lesson 13. So what you're going to have to do at home is to find some things to measure. Now let's say you don't have anything to measure and you don't even have any tools. That's fine. You can just copy this. But when we were in class, we measured the length of the table. So the top of the table was 1 1800 meters. Well, we didn't measure it by using fractions at first. We started with centimeters, and we said, how many exact centimeters is it? It's 118 across the top of a table. And then we converted by recognizing, see, here's that centimeter, which is 100 times smaller than a meter. So you have to divide by 100 to get it to show this amount. But you also would have to multiply by 10 to get it to show this amount in a smaller unit. So to change from centimeters to millimeters, you multiply by 10. To change from meters to millimeters, that's that jump of 3 positions, because here is where the decimeter lives. So this is 1 position, 2 positions, 3 positions. So you can't forget about that one because it's 1, 2, 3. Anyway, length of a pencil, 14 centimeters. Some kids, mine's only 9. Okay, put that on here. And then show what it is when it's less than 1 whole meter. And 90 millimeters and the like. So you can just kind of get the idea that if you, we have storage tubs, measure the top of the storage tub in centimeters, then convert that to meters, and also convert it to millimeters. So multiply by 10 going this way, divide by 100 going 2 positions this way. And then this right here is what we're going to actually be using today. This is the way that I like to explain what they do in the book. Okay, you have to make a conversion. Weeks to days. I know I have 3 weeks, so how many days is that? So here's the way we lay it out, and this is pretty much in the book. Take the old unit, rewrite it. So you copy, okay? 1 times 1 of the old measurement, because 3 times 1 equals 3, and it's weeks. 3 weeks equals 3 times 1 week. This is true. So then work your way down. Copy the 3 again. You need to have it here because you're going to be using it for the next part. This is where the magic is happening. You want the equivalent of the new unit and put that here. So take your 1 week and change that to 7 days. You do have to know what the conversion is for whatever the single unit is. So that's going to be where I have to know that 7 days are equal to a week. Now I have this conversion factor. A factor is a number you multiply. So it makes sense that I'm multiplying with this factor. Conversion means change. This is the factor, the number, that I'm going to multiply with to change to the new unit. Okay? And so then you have your 3 times 7, which gives you 21, and you have your new unit, which is days. So 3 weeks is equal to 21 days. Then, just for fun, we did that again, and we said, okay, let's take the larger unit and change it to a smaller unit. 3 hours is equal to how many minutes? Okay? This is my first statement. 3 hours is equal to 3. Copy that. Times the old unit. 1 of the old unit. Change that here to be the equivalent of the new unit. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. 3 times 60 equals 180, and that's how you do conversions. So, ta-da, that's how it is. So, we'll move this, and because I wanted to go over all that King Henry stuff, and again, super valuable. Oops, it's blurry. That's okay. It'll focus. I thought we might not have time, so we're going to go just kind of over the completed one. But let me just talk you through this so you can see how it works out. Now, all you have to do here is solve. The first one's done for you, but we're converting weeks to days. Now, on all these today, it's going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. That's something they did on purpose to kind of help you solidify this knowledge in your head that what is it that I'm doing? I'm changing from one unit to the next, and I'm going to do the same thing. We won't always do the same thing because sometimes we'll be changing from smaller units to larger, but not today. So copy the first number and multiply by 1 of the old unit. Then right here is where the conversion factor steps in. The new unit is days. So what is the equivalent? How many of the smaller unit are in one of the larger unit? That's 7 days. So 8 times 7 is 56, and this is 8 weeks is equal to 56 days. So then they start pulling stuff away. Convert years to days. 4 years equals how many days? So this is the copy. They set it up. Times 1 of the old unit equals copy times the equivalent of the new, 365 days in a year. And how would you know that? Well, you just have to know it or look it up on the internet. And then multiply, use the standard algorithm when it gets too big. And that's your old equivalent to new. Okay, next one. Old unit. Copy it. Multiply by 1 of the old unit. Copy this again. Multiply by the equivalent of the new. Meters equal to centimeters. That's 1 and 100. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. Multiply 9 and 2/10 times 100. And so this is where you can, on the King Henry chart, it says you can shift the decimal. That's where that understanding piece pops in. Where did I put? It's upside down. So if you are multiplying, so multiply numbers by 10 if you are getting smaller. It's 10 for each place value position. It's the same as moving the decimal place up 1 point. Blech. It's the same as moving the decimal point 1 space to the right. I love it when I talk like that. So times 10 would be 1 shift, but this is times 100. So it's 2 shifts. That's why we go from here to here to here. Got to annex that 0. Put a 0 on and jump around it. Here's the decimal now. Okay? Moving right along. 5 and 7/10 yards equals how many feet? So again, copy this times 1 of the old. Copy it again. Bring it down. Equivalent of the new, 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. How do you know that? Well, you just kind of have to know it. There may be a page in your book where you can reference that. And then 5 and 7/10 yards equals 17.1 feet. And you can do that again, standard algorithm. At the bottom, the pages are flying out. How many years have I been using this book now? Just a couple. Okay, 6 and 800ths kilograms. Now we've got a really big unit. This is the king on the chart. So 6.08 times 1 of the old, 1 kilogram, because that makes this a true number sentence. Then copy this down here and show the equivalent of the new unit. We're changing to grams. This is lives at the unit or the ones place. Grams are the units. So kilograms are 1,000 times greater, so we need 1,000 grams to make up 1 kilogram. So then you multiply 6.08 times 1,000, which is really just a 1, 2, 3 position shift of the digits. So you can move that decimal right here, and you get 6,080 grams. And so think about your place value positions like we did here, and I kind of wrote that for somebody. Pounds to ounces. 12 and 5/10 pounds. And again, how do you know how many ounces are in a pound? Well, there are 16 ounces in a pound, and you probably have your conversion sheet handy. And again, you could print something off the internet too. It would be very, very handy. 12.5 times 1, originally 12.5 times 16, and then do your standard algorithm. Now this is what we've been working on for a few days. So we have a number with tenths times a number in ones. So your answer should be in tenths. If you remove the decimal and do the multiplication, 6 times 5 is 30, carry the 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 6 and 1 is 7. Goes to 0, then 5, 2, 1, add, 7, 8, 9, 10, add, and 2. You end up with your 200 ounces. Okay? Back of the page. Problem set. Okay, now it says after solving, write a statement to express each conversion. the first one is done for you. So it's just really making a complete sentence out of your original statement. Convert the number of hours in a day to minutes. 24 hours equals how many minutes? So copy the number, okay? Show your conversion factor. Remember, this is one of the old and then the equivalent of the new. Do your multiplication. They already did it for you. Write a statement. One day has 24 hours, which is the same as 1,440 minutes. I might even skip that at some point. A small female gorilla weighs 68 kilograms. How much does she weigh in grams? What they're saying is 68 kilograms equals how many grams? 68 equals 68 times 1 kilogram equals 68 times the equivalent of the new. And again, use your King Henry chart. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Grams of the basic unit that lives at the unexpectedly place value position. 68 times 1,000 is 68,000. So the female gorilla weighs 68,000 grams. And then you can say, of course, she weighs 68 kilograms too. But I was probably in a hurry, and there's not that much room in these little boxes. The height of a man is 1 7/10 meters. What is his height in centimeters? 1.7 equals how many centimeters? Copy this times one of the old. Copy this times the equivalent of the new. Meters to centimeters is a 2-position shift. Centimeters are 100 times smaller than meters, so it's 2 positions. Don't forget the deci, D-E-C-I column. And then you have 2-position shift, so 1, and then put a 0 on and hop around it, 170 centimeters. His height is 170 centimeters. Look how much in a hurry I was. The capacity of a syringe, and some kids will read this and say, I don't even know what these words are. Capacity is how much liquid can be held in a container, like the amount of liquid that can be held. Of a syringe, that is like a needle. If you're going to get a shot, they would use a syringe and put the liquid or solution in the syringe. So the capacity, the amount that a syringe, a tube full of medicine can hold, is 800ths of a liter. That's pretty small, and you wouldn't really want it any bigger. Convert this to milliliters. Liters are your base unit. So you have 800ths of a liter equals how many, equals how many milliliters? 1 of the old, okay, 8 times 1, same number times the equivalent, knowing that liters to milliliters is a 3-position jump, okay? This is the unit, or the unexpectedly. This is the milk column on the chart, so it's a 3-position shift. If it's 3 positions shifting, then it's 1, 2, and then put on a 0 and hop around it, okay? So it's a very tiny fraction in a big with a big measuring tool, and it's a pretty good amount of a small measuring tool. Same amount, it's just calling it a different name. And then finally, on the last one, a coyote weighs 11.3 pounds. Convert this coyote's weight to ounces, pounds to ounces. Again, how do you know that? Well, use your conversion sheet until you've got it memorized. 1 pound is 16 ounces. Take the original number times 1. Original number times the conversion. We didn't even finish. Well, we'll do that one together. 11.3 times 16. 6 times 3, 18. 6 times 1, 6 plus 1 is 7. 6 times 1 is 6. Hold this spot with the 0 ghost. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to squeeze it in over here. And then 8, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8. And then a 1. It's tenths here, so it's tenths here. So we have our 11.3. I don't have any statements here. Is equal to 188 tenths ounces. The coyote weighs 180.8 ounces. See, we did that together. Isn't that fun? All right, and then the last one. Alligator is 2.3 yards long. What is the length of the alligator in inches? It's 2.3. Copy the old times 1 of the old. copy it times the equivalent of the new. 2.3 times 36. Do your standard algorithm. Goes 0. Add it up. That is your equivalent amount. So I hope that was helpful. And yeah, everybody loves all the subscriptions. So hit subscribe or tell your friends and enjoy. And we'll see you tomorrow on another lesson. Bye.